This is a bit of a change from the bumblebee photos that I've shared recently, because in those pictures, in both of those, I mentioned that I've been trying to get a specific type of shot for a while, and it's just never worked out. Come close, but never quite worked out. In this case, this is almost exactly what I wanted to get. This shot worked out. I hesitate to say perfectly, but it worked out really, really well. And I just want to share a little bit about what I did to get this shot. So first of all, this is a cardinal sitting on the fence in my backyard. There's no exotic setting or anything else. It's literally just like my backyard fence. I can see this fence from, it's like 20 feet away from my house. So there's nothing special about the setting here. What it took to get this photo, though, was a little, well, I guess you could say it's just patience. It was a long time in coming. So we've had cardinals in our backyard every year for as long as we've owned this place, so like 10 years. And it's really, it's just amazing to see these birds, these bright red birds. This is a male cardinal. It's just amazing to see these bright red males fly around, and they have this pretty song, and they have this beautiful coloring, and it's the kind of bird that you just want to take a picture of, but it's really hard to take a picture of these birds because they fly away when you try and get close to them. And unless you have a really long telephoto lens, it's just hard to get close to get a nice photo. And every year I try, but it's it doesn't quite work out because it's just hard to get close to these birds with the gear I have. Well, this year is a little different. So in quarantine, I spent a lot of time with my kids playing in the backyard, and even more than normal. So I usually spend time playing with my kids in the backyard, but in quarantine, there was a lot of days that were just spent playing in the backyard. And this family of cardinals, this male and female cardinal, were building a nest in the tree in our backyard, in one of the smaller trees. So our fence is like, I don't know, 8-foot fence, and this little tree is right off to the side. You can't see it in this picture, but they built this little nest in this tree, and it's maybe a 6-foot tall tree. And so they were flying around a lot, and that gave us a lot of good opportunities, or gave me a lot of good opportunities to try and get a picture, because I was out there so much more than normal. And none of them quite worked out until one night. It was probably like 7:30 at night, and I was watching these birds, just not bird watching, but I had my eye on these birds, and we all did, me and my wife and our boys. And I thought, I'm just going to stand out in the backyard for a while and wait until they get close to me. So rather than me get close to them, I'm going to wait till they get close to me. So I stood there at my D500, 7200 millimeter lens, locked at 200 millimeters basically the whole time, and just stood there in the yard waiting. Now, 200 millimeters, even on a crop sensor camera, is not a lot of reach. So I had to stand pretty close to the tree. And I don't know if the birds were used to me by this time. It feels like they were, but they had to get to their nest to feed their young ones. And I just stood there, and I wasn't like in their way or anything. I was probably 10 feet away from the tree, but I just waited for them to come to me and to come to the tree. And that's when I would take a bunch of photos. And over the course of maybe a half hour, I took about 700 pictures of these cardinals. And this one is probably my favorite of the male, and it worked out great. It's even here, it's severely cropped. I mean, it's not crazy cropped, but it's cropped a lot. But even then, you can see so much of the detail. You can see every little, all the texture in the feathers. You can see the beak and how the top overlaps the bottom just a bit. You see this bright red, my son calls it his mohawk hairdo, all these little things. But I think my favorite part is that eye. It looks like he's looking at me, kind of thinking, what's this dude with the camera? What's his deal? Maybe he's not, but it feels that way. And it was really cool to take this picture and others like it. In fact, the next 2 weeks, I'll be sharing 2 more pictures I got from the same photo session, I guess, if you want to call it that, of these cardinals. And to finally be able to get close enough and good lighting and good angle. I really like the depth of field here. The cardinal is tack sharp. The fence in the foreground and background is blurry, and the background is totally gone. And it's just a cool composition that I don't normally get to take. So it was really fun to take this shot.